Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. We just received an update from Grinding Gear Games regarding upcoming plans for patch 0.2.1. But before we jump into today's breakdown of the patch, I want to get something off my chest and make it crystal clear because I believe it needs to be said over and over until something is done. Now, if you're a longtime viewer of my content, you've heard me say this repeatedly in my videos. GGG doesn't need to fix the difficulty of Path of Exile 2. The combat itself, hard hitting, tactical, punishing, isn't the issue. The real problem is that everything else in the game is needlessly difficult to achieve. Crafting is too RNG heavy. Loot drops lack impact. Wisps feel like a waste. Rogue Exiles drop junk. Endgame is repetitive and an endless grind. I can go on and on and on. The challenge isn't surviving the gameplay, it's surviving the systems around it. That's why this patch matters. It's a real step in the right direction, fixing the difficulty of POE 2, but not in the way that you may think. I'll get into more detail at the end of the video, so make sure to stick around. But before that, let's dive into this current patch update. Okay, so this is the upcoming plans for patch 0.2.1. We're continuing to work on improvements of Path of Exile 2. Patch 0.2.1 is in active development, and we're aiming to deploy it at the end of next week. Find out more about the improvements this patch contains below. Now, guys, I'm not going to go into every single word in this patch. I will attach it to the description of this video. I'm just going to summarize all the major talking points here. But if you wanted to get a deeper dive, you can click on the link. It'll be in the description of the video. Okay, Endgame Rewards. GGG recognizes that their endgame reward structure has felt dry and stingy. In this patch, they're aiming to introduce more spike moments, those adrenaline rush drops that feel like true payoffs after grinding. Players should expect rarer but more exciting item drops, which means less dead loot and more potential upgrades. Unique items. Drop rates for chase uniques are getting buffed significantly, alongside the introduction of new powerful uniques, plus some underwhelming existing uniques are getting upgrades, making them viable rewards again. GGG is trying to inject excitement back into the loot pool, something that's been sorely missing. And if you go off by my opening monologue regarding how it ties in to fixing the systems around the difficulty of the game, this is a big one where it just loot is lackluster. And even with the recent change prior to this one that's coming next week, where bosses now guaranteed a rare drop, there, although it was an improvement, it still felt a little underwhelming. So again, I think as we go through these patch notes, guys, you're going to see that Grinding Gear Games slowly, and personally I think they should do it much quicker, but slowly they're walking towards fixing all these systems around the difficulty of the game, like I spoke to in the opening monologue. So good news. Crafting Socketables is the next fix, and that is, crafting has been one of the most frustrating random systems in Path of Exile 2. It's too casino, it's too RNG. So to spice things up, patch 0.2.1 adds, guys, they're adding 22 new ruins, 14 new soul cores, and 7 new talismans. These Socketables are designed to feel powerful and build defining. And they made a comment in here about how in the start to mid game, you know, the ruins that we use serves its purpose, but then when we get to the end game, it kind of falls off and serves no purpose because we should have better gear. And so in order to fix that, they're adding all these new items: 22 new ruins, 14 new soul cores, 7 new talismans, and they're designed to feel powerful and build defining. And Grinding Gear Games is finally giving players more agency in crafting meaningful gear rather than gambling endlessly with random rolls. Now, I totally agree with what they're doing here. That's great. But again, I'll take it, W, but this still needs a lot of work. But that's not for this video. Rituals are getting a boost by making rare omens more attainable. The total number of omens stay the same, but now you'll have a much better shot at hitting the impactful ones that matter. No more 20 rituals for a useless omen you never use. And if you listen to everything that's being said here, guys, you'll notice a pattern. A pattern, if I could put a motherhood statement on it, and it ties into my beliefs of how this game needs to be addressed. And that is the fact that everything is so hard to attain. Again, difficult, not difficulty in the engaging in meaningful combat, difficult in the systems that are around it. So again, I think they're finally realizing that they need to ease up on all these systems around our player in order for them to be able to handle the difficult, meaningful, and engaging combat. They don't need to fix that. They need to fix everything around it. And this patch is starting to address that. Corrupted essences. If you've been ignoring corrupted essences due to low payoff, that's about to change. Vol Orbing Essence monsters now has 6-time higher odds of yielding a corrupted essence. This is a big deal for those of us that want to roll high risk, high reward gear mods. So hallelujah, good job. Next is Rogue Exiles. Rogue Exiles are finally getting some loot love. You know, they said this in the last patch, and little minor improvements. So again, at least they continue to keep stepping in the right direction. Let's hope this patch fixes it even more. Rogue Exiles are finally getting some loot love. Their unique item drop rates has been tripled. This should make those random encounters feel like opportunities instead of just clutter mobs. And let's face it, I don't know about you guys, but I haven't had anything worthy drop off of a Rogue Exile. And I was so looking forward to this content when it was announced that it was coming in 0.2. Very disappointing for the risk reward. The drops have been horrible. But again, step in the right direction. These are all W's. All W's. Okay, Twisted Domain. The Twisted Domain has always felt underwhelming. GGG's making the following changes: more rare monsters before the boss, improved loot quality and quantity pre-boss, guaranteed breach rings from the final fight. Nice. This transforms the Twisted Domain from a chore to a chase zone. So again, improving the loot drops, improving the experience, giving us the tools and the loot in order to make ourselves more powerful. Awesome. Great. Okay, this one's a big one, and I'm not going to get into all the minutiae. I'm just going to give you my summary. But please, if you want a full breakdown, just read the whole thing. Like I said, it'll be in the description of the video. But Expedition Logbooks. So they're getting a significant reward and structure rework. So more remnants in each logbook. Excavated chests now give better loot. Boss encounter rates are up. These changes should make Expedition worth engaging with. This is personally one of my favorite things to do not only in Path of Exile 1, but in Path of Exile 2. Expedition is always a fun one that I like to do. I know I'm kind of an anomaly there. But so these changes are going to make Expedition worth engaging with. So that's good news for me. I like it. Not just for logbook completion, but as a solid currency and gear farm. And let's hope that sentence is so correct. Looking forward to it. Anyway, there's a lot more, guys, into that, guys, but that's just the main takeaway from that. Endgame content and variety improvements. And I want to read this one paragraph because I think it just summarizes what the problem is in this game as a whole. Okay, just to give you an idea. A second main focus is that we're going to increase the variety of running endgame maps. Right now, did you know that if we were to generate 400,000 maps, 150,000 of them would be hidden grotto? We are certainly sick of running that area and fighting that same boss on repeat. The intention here is to normalize the frequency that different maps and thus boss fights appear on the Atlas. This will make things feel far less repetitive when playing the end game, especially for many, many hours. Can you imagine generating 400,000 maps and 150,000 of them being the same one? And in this case, GGG has confirmed Hidden Grotto is the one. That is almost shy of 50%. Half the maps, almost half, it's not half, but just to make my point, illustrate my point, is the same one. There in itself tells you what's going on in this game. It's just incredible. No wonder everybody is bored out of their mind and, not happy with the end game. So beautiful that they're randomizing that and the frequency of maps and the variety. Thank you. And this is another good one. Citadel spawning has been adjusted. Now, wherever Citadel is generated on the Atlas, it also ensures that it generates the other two types of Citadels near it. And if anyone has played the endgame in Path of Exile 2, you find one of the Citadels, and then you spend the next day trying to find the other one. Now, they have made changes prior to this one to make it easier and find them as far as seeing them in the fog and other things. But the fact that they now are planning to make all three spawn in a relatively same area, that's great. Again, easing up the difficulty with the content around us. This is the problem. The problem is not the level of difficulty in the combat. So awesome. So Grinding Your Games is addressing the lack of map diversity. They're adjusting map frequency to avoid repetition, and Citadel types will now rotate more naturally, like I said, encouraging full Atlas exploration. It's a quality of life fix that makes every session feel a bit fresher. Again, easing up the grind of finding stuff, of getting stuff, of being able to make things better. This is all easing up that tension. It's all W's here, guys. Okay, Trials of Sekhemas. Some of the more punishing Sekhemas mechanics are being scaled back. For example, the affliction that removed all your energy shield now only halves it. This is a smart tweak, still punishing, but not run ending. Boons and afflictions will also have better variety moving forward. So great news. Quality of life and user experience changes. Several welcomed quality of life changes are being added here, guys. So the passive skill tree now cycles more intuitively with the enter key. Advanced item display returns. Atlas map hovers are more readable with clearer modifier categories. And they've done some performance improvements to reduce CP load in dense areas. Okay, everyone, so that is the patch summary. Again, very quick, high-level summary. The notes, the patch is actually going to be in the description of the video, like I said, so please, you can read that in full detail, or you've probably already read it. But I wanted to put a bow and tie this video here at the end by kind of continuing where I started off from in the beginning of this video about basically the position I've held since the release of this game, and that is, don't make the game easier. It's not the level of difficulty, the combat. That's not the problem. The problem is the mechanics around it that GGG just made too difficult to attain or achieve. And it's so refreshing to see that they've done this in drips and drabs since December 6th with some of the content drops and the patches and hot fixes. They have addressed it in very minute ways, but this is the first big one that shows that I think they finally realized that this is what they need to do. They need to fix everything around the game. So I wanted to talk about and highlight that because I know there's friction out there right now, because the difficulty debate has split the community. Some want screen clearing power, others want meaningful combat. I personally want meaningful combat. We already have screen clearing power gameplay. Path of Exile 1. I want Path of Exile 2 to be different. I don't want it to be Path of Exile 1. Sorry if that offends anybody. I want POE 2 to be a different experience than POE 1. I personally think this is good for everybody involved, and regardless of what camp you're on. If you're a POE 1 fanboy, I think it'll be nice for you once you've gotten your grind off on POE 1 League, you can jump into POE 2 and experience something different. I don't understand the rationale of you wanting to have the same thing over here. And basically POE, if that were to be true, it's not POE 2, it's POE 1.5 or POE 1 squared. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. No, I think it serves a purpose if both games are different. Yes, there are going to be some synergies between the two. Obviously, we already see it. A lot of the content that we have in POE 2 has been redone, bundled up, redressed as and made Path of Exile 2 like. So there are some synergies and similarities already, but it needs to feel and look different, and it should. So here's where I have always stood. My opinion has not changed on this issue. The combat is not the problem. The systems are. Grinding gear games does not need to make POE 2 easier to play. They need to make it easier to progress, easier to get good loot, easier to find impactful currency, easier to craft usable gear, easier to unlock ascendancies, and feel like your time was well spent in the game. And more importantly, have fun in the game. Now, this patch is a step in that direction, in my humble opinion. It proves that GGG can keep the vision of tough, meaningful combat if they reduce the unnecessary RNG and over-designed friction that keeps players from enjoying the grind. All right, I'm going to get off my soapbox. If you found this deep dive helpful, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and smash the notification bell so you don't miss any of my POE 2 coverage. And if you want to see these changes in action, come hang out on Twitch. I stream every evening. Channel name is SamyCaps. I'm currently into my hardcore challenge. Maps are bust. And trust me, it's spicy. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope to see you next time. The opinions expressed in this video are mine and solely mine. Healthy debate is always encouraged. Hate is never welcomed. So get over it.